Straight, no chaser.
This time we're recording it. So, we're going to get into some things and do some things and talk about some things. And yeah.
We just talked about COVID-19. We talked about health. I mean, what else you want to do? You want to just talk about religion too? Man, goddamn.
Yes.
Just letting you know, y'all. We live on all channels.
Love it. Let's get busy. So here we are. Once again, let's kick this. We got a lot to go through and not a whole lot of time. So thank you once again for listening and tuning in to Straight No Chaser, the podcast. You could have been doing something else. You probably are doing something else, but you're doing at least a little bit of something with us. We appreciate it. We're available all over the place. Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, YouTube, you name it, we there. Like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff, please, and thank you. So we got the fearsome foursome here. We're going to get into it asaptually. Rasheem, I'm going to hit it to you.
What's going on, y'all? Rasheem, listen, we promote this 9:30 thing, and we're trying to get our technology straight so we can be on at 9:30. So, Rose, I saw you in the comments talking about it's 9:30. Okay, now it's 9:32. We're trying to get there. Hey, Rose, now I'm going to throw it up to KG.
All right. What up? Mr. Neil, let's do it.
What's going on? Back at it. It's cold. Computer issue, just like the third computer I tried. I'm here.
That's what matters. And Rose is one of them people that will always have something to say. Rose, we appreciate you. But yeah. Anyway, so we need to get into this. First of all, we got to say rest in peace, Cicely Tyson. For those that unfortunately don't know, passed earlier today, I believe, at the age of 96. Fantastic life, a legend, rest in peace, join the ancestors and everything. So yeah, we got to say that.
We're rest in peace. I don't know about y'all. If I remember, first Cicely Tyson movie I saw was Bustin' Loose, Richard Pryor, way back in the day. That was like an 81 movie. And
classic.
Yeah, definitely rest in peace to that sister.
Rest in peace, Cicely Tyson. She's one with the ancestors. Salute to a life journey well run.
Did y'all have to watch Sounder back in the day? That was one of the movies that was always on in elementary school. Y'all don't remember that one? That's too old. Okay,
I didn't watch that.
You got to check out Sounder. Anyway, so that's basically where we are.
How you gonna transition like that anywhere, man? Just give a moment of silence or something.
And silence. Okay. So, she's 96. She had a very long, illustrious life. I was talking about it earlier today, and she was born in the 1920s. So that means she was in her 40s in the 60s. Think about that shit.
And if you think about it, her mother probably was a sharecropper, if not a slave. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, her grandmother.
Facts.
So, when people be thinking about how the slavery thing it's so far ago, it's so long ago, man, there are people alive today whose parents were working the fields, whose grandparents absolutely were slaves. And for me, that's just a couple generations. That helps put things in perspective.
I mean, my wife's, not that she was a slave, but my wife's mom picked cotton. Like, my great-grandma used to pick cotton. I remember going down there in Louisiana, and she was telling me how she used to pick cotton, and she would show me her hands and whatnot. That's real. The experiences that the black Americans have had, it's not too far removed. Like Joe Biden, again, he was in the Senate with people who lived with FDR.
I mean, time moves along, and we all have intersections.
You know what I'm saying?
But she had 70 years, man, 70 years in the game. She had 7 decades in the game as an actress. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, her and Betty White been around for a long time. Also, want to say rest in peace to Hank Aaron, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Also, fraternity brother of mine. So just,
absolutely. Hammer and Hank.
Yep.
So we might as well get this out the way. What are y'all drinking? This is Straight No Chaser, the podcast. So if you do not know, you haven't listened to the show, technically, we're supposed to be having drinks and we sitting around and talking about whatever it is that we talk about. But we haven't done that, but we're going to try to get back to that. So what are y'all drinking, if anything?
Well, typically every week I got a little something. I mean, this is the first week I'm going light with a Dos Equis. But
Yeah,
I'm going light.
Rod's been very consistent with his drinks. I'm probably the second most consistent, and then I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm on some Casamigos.
Okay. So you're gonna be twisted around 10 o'clock. Very good.
This is my second. This is my second tequila. So
there you go. So out there, if you have something to drink, pour yourself up something too, and let's get amongst it.
Rose got some red blend on deck.
Drink with us.
Exactly. What kind of red blend are you talking about, Rose? We'll get into that later. But so we also got to talk about this whole Robinhood, GameStop, stock market manipulation thing. I don't know how familiar you all are with it. I'm not going to get deep with it because it'll put people to sleep. But do y'all care remotely that this is happening? I feel like, this is a major issue right now.
Give people a little synopsis.
In short, a lot of people were trying to invest in certain stocks like GameStop, Express, BlackBerry, and a few others,
AMC.
and we're not allowed AMC, Nokia, and we're not allowed to because Robinhood, which is like the little investing app, closed down buying more of those shares. You could sell them if you had them, but you couldn't buy them, and so people woke up and it was been a mess.
But really to make it plain as to why that was such a big deal, and I'm gonna have to get back to these comments in a second, but I want to make sure you understand why that's a big deal is because hedge funds and equity firms have been shorting stock since forever, and the short of stock typically means if they think a company stock is going to go down, they will borrow the stock from the brokerage firm. They will borrow somebody's stock, sell the stock that they borrowed at a high price, plus borrow the stock, sold it at $50, and then wait for that stock to drop to $1. And then you would sell the stock you borrowed for $1. I mean, you would buy it back. Pardon me, you buy it back for $1. You sold it for $50, and then you buy it back for $1. You made $49 on stock you borrowed. You didn't even own that stock. So what happened? The little guys was like, well, they trying to short GameStop. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna buy it up so that the price never drops. It consistently goes up. So when it's time for them to buy back, they're not gonna buy it at a lower price. They gotta buy it at a much higher price.
And they were pissed.
They were pissed. It was like $70 billion they got hit with just off of GameStop alone. So now you got Robinhood who's like, oh, stop the volatility. We can't let the price go up that crazy. But Robinhood wasn't trying to stop it when hedge fund managers and equity firms were shorting companies, and they do it expressly to break companies. I'm trying to get my money, and if they get caught up, and they collateral damage, so be it. So right. I got an issue with them.
Well, part of it too. There's an article that stated that Robinhood probably didn't have the money, the liquid funds to pay out when people tried to cash out. So
I can see that.
You got all these different type of applications that's involved in, money transactions or financial transactions, and they're really not even been liquid. You know what I mean?
Well, so that's not actually I hear what you're saying, but I don't think that necessarily applies in this case because they were saying that you could sell what you had, but you couldn't buy no more. So it's people that would be putting money into Robinhood, and they were like, no, don't buy no more of this. Go buy something else, and if you got some of this, you can sell it.
I just said that's what the article said, man. I didn't say I said it.
Right.
And I sent you the article.
And those two things can both be true at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you allow them to continue to sell, continue to buy, the price will go up even more than it was. I mean, it was at like almost 400 at one point in time. We could have woke up tomorrow and that price could have been 600 because
let's go, baby.
And at that point, the thing that gets me, it's a Reddit group, Wall Street Bets, and they were the ones they had like 3 million followers at the time. Now they got over 5 million. They were the ones that was like, listen, we gotta take care of GameStop.
Right.
So they went ahead and their members started to buy that stuff up. And their whole thing is about holding the stock, buying it and holding it, and making sure that if the hedge funds, if they gotta buy the stock back, it's at a higher price.
Right.
My thing is, if I'm holding on the $50,000-$60,000 worth of stock because I bought it at $5 a share, I don't think I'm that down with the movement. I'm selling it. I'm sorry, Wall Street Bets.
That's the problem.
They like hold hold, don't, and they are proud. I'm gonna
Yes.
hold this even if it hits the floor. I got mortgage. I got
But
family.
you are that's defeating the whole purpose. But we don't want to put nobody to sleep, and we are absolutely not giving anybody any kind of
That
investment
would defeat
advice.
the purpose.
Please do not listen to anything we're saying as far as putting your money into the stock market. But it is very interesting, that all this happened and there was all this hoopla about it. And it's like, this has kind of replaced sports for me. You know what I'm saying? We don't have live sports anymore, or we don't to the degree that we did. Stocks.
Yeah.
We do have live sports.
I mean, we do, but you can't go to it, is what I'm saying.
Yes, you can.
Depends on the city you in. Some stadiums won't let you in. Some will, But either which way, I get your point.
We understand, Keltric. But yeah, so that's basically that. With it's going to be very interesting to see how it all develops tomorrow. And I love the fact that so many more people are getting involved with investing and in the stock market and Wall Street, and just getting more information about it.
I don't know. I can't really say that. I mean, a lot of it generated from Reddit. Like I think there was a Reddit group that suggested doing this. It's like a movement, kind of like Anonymous was on Twitter.
It was the Wall Street Bets. That's the name of the group that was out there.
Did they shut it down? It's reopened though.
They reopened it because when I saw they shut it down, I went to go check it out, and I was able to get right in it. So I'm part of the 5 million.
Me too.
Waiting for them to pick the next stock.
I got money in it. I'm ready. I'm like, yes.
Clean.
Let's take this to the moon, baby. I love all that.
I got a couple of nickels I can throw in there.
Word.
Right. So that's where we at with it. But do your own research out there, internet. And it's just one of them things that it's good for people to be educated about and so on and so forth. But let's see what else we got. We also got to talk about this situation, unfortunately, with Chad Wheeler. Are y'all familiar with this man, Chad Wheeler?
Mm-hmm.
Tell the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Chad Wheeler is a football player that has been accused by a
white football player. I think that's important.
He's a white football player, pro football player, and he beat and choked his wife or girlfriend or live-in situation or whatever, who is a black woman, and beat her down, choked her, domestic violence, and so on and so forth. And this happened real recently. I want to say last weekend. And the reason I bring all this up is because he says that he was having a manic episode. And is that, I feel like, acceptable? In other words, this, he had a manic episode, from what I understand, mania, kind of lose it, snap off. It is what it is. Should she stay in that situation, help him through it, get out? What do y'all think about that?
Well, I want one important point to add is she lost consciousness, and when she woke up, he looked at her and was like, "You still breathing?" So that's an important add to the context of your story. But yes,
there is no. I'm sorry, manic, bipolar, whatever, schizophrenic. I can't. Sorry, I can't see it. I can't see it. I mean, Rita was talking about Seattle needs to go ahead and handle that quickly, but
cut him.
He's already off the team. He's already off the team.
Yeah, his contract wasn't renewed.
Yeah, that's enough. That's not enough. He needs a lot more to happen to him. This needs to be handled in the criminal justice system. I'm hoping sis go that route and not go the route of some sisters who might just be like, nah, he's had enough that happened to him. No, that dude. And I can't imagine if that was family of mine. That's all. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that mean for him, for me. Your manic doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't care.
I mean, I would agree as well. I mean, I feel like this is unfortunately a situation that we are all going to agree on this one. So yeah, she should be out. In light of what happened with the woman that was with the guy that played football in Baltimore, and he knocked her out. Ray Rice. There you go. Knocked out in the elevator. She wound up staying with him.
They got married. Actually, they got married, so she wouldn't testify against him. Well, I don't know if there's reason, but people say that she got married to him, so when they went to court, she would not be forced to testify against him. Yeah, and they're still together.
Spouses can't be compelled. Yeah.
Here's what I would say about the situation. I think it is an interesting wrinkle that he has a condition, I don't think that absolves him from any responsibility of his condition, because if you break the law and you have these issues, you still are held accountable. And if you are African American or a person of color, you could be killed if you break the law, even a minor, law infraction, even if you do have a mental illness. So hell no, he shouldn't be held less accountable because he had a manic episode. If she should run, she should get out, get paid, be a spokesperson about her experience to some extent if she chooses to do that, and just stay safe, man. She really got messed up in the photos. It's a real crucial situation.
Yeah, those photos were hard to look at.
Yes,
They were hard to, and I can't imagine being a woman in a relationship with someone that you believe or think loves you and is able to do that to you, no matter what mental state they're in. So, so I could definitely see, like, she very much may need to talk to somebody.
She will. I mean, if you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would be curious if somebody has a mental illness. I would assume they have like an emergency plan if things progress in a certain direction. Like how can you support this person in this scenario? Mm-hmm. I can't believe this is the first time he's did something like this.
See, but here's the thing.
And I don't know if he hasn't done anything like this, like, she would not know or be aware of his triggers, or he would not be aware of his triggers, and they would kind of have that conversation. So it just, something about the story don't really make a lot of sense to me. It seems a little fishy. I don't, until she speaks, I heard his version of it, of the manic episode. She has not said anything that I'm aware of to date. When she talks and shares her version of the events, then I'll figure out what's going on.
I'm hoping that she doesn't talk, and if she does, she talks just to law enforcement, because just because someone has a mental challenge, if they're mental disability, they mental wellness is off. Like, violence is not an automatic thing. It's not. So for me, he can't use manic bipolar disorder as a reason, because people who suffer from those can be contained within a community. And I don't want to give him no absolute window to crawl through or crawl out of, or a loophole. Just because he manic does not give him a pass. He still can be criminally responsible for what he did, and he needs to be held to and be accountable for that, regardless of his mental situation.
Did you guys heard about the reason why it even happened? Because she wouldn't bow to him.
She wouldn't bow to him, which for me, manic is, I snapped. So you snapped because she wouldn't bow to you? Something's already off if you want her to bow to you. You know what I'm saying? Something's already off. So I'm just like, throw him and anyone who supports him in the trash, out the window. I'm the cancel culture. I'm with it. That he needs to be canceled.
He's not gonna get canceled.
I'm a firm believer that, brother, if something's going on in your relationship and you feel like you've been disrespected, or called out your name, or she said something or did something to you, just walk away. Mm-hmm. You don't got to put your hand on her. You definitely don't got to kill her. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen that happen. Just walk away. That's all you got to do.
How about we just say that we pray for both of them? Because I think Keltric said the point that this ain't the first time it happened. So let's say that, she goes through all this therapy. Let's say there's more to the story than we realize, and she still ends up wanting to stay anyway. Then what? Are we going to cancel her? You know what I'm saying? We say cancel him. Of course, everything that you're saying is valid. Everything that he did is disrespectful, degrading. He needs to be dealt with. But with that said, if she still stays, if she still decides to stand by him, do we say, oh, well, cancel her too?
I mean, nobody has really been canceled for real yet. This is
R. Kelly.
I know what you're saying. Who?
I don't say
R. Kelly has been canceled for real.
Yeah, he's been canceled for real.
Okay.
But no, I wouldn't cancel a sis. I wouldn't. I'd recognize her as someone who, they call it Stockholm syndrome. People who get held hostage, end up falling in love with the hostage taker. They call it Stockholm. Like there could be reasons why she feels she needs to stay with him. So I'm not going. And you're right. Pray for her. She needs help. She needs therapy. But she is not the perpetuator of the violence.
That's the Ariana Grande, Mac Miller type relationship where, he was doing drugs. He was somewhat suicidal, and she was saying like she felt almost responsible for him actually going through and killing himself and overdosing. So
what? Wait a minute. What? What are you talking about?
When Mac Miller killed himself, he OD'd. She was saying she felt somewhat responsible because they used to date. And to Rob's point, when you're with somebody who is going through something privately, and it becomes a public situation, it took her a lot to run from that situation, Ariana Grande. I'd imagine for this woman, to Neil's point, it's possible that it may take a lot for her to leave that situation. I think a lot of us can, sit in our nice little, glass houses and say, leave that dude, walk away. It's really simple to say that kind of shit. In reality, though, these are two humans. They both have emotions. I'm not absolving him of anything. I want to be clear about that. He should be held accountable. However, to just simply say walk away, you don't know what she's invested in the relationship. You don't know how she feels. That's why, again, if she chooses, to Ross' point, to come out and speak, I think that would be the profound statement and an indicator around, what and how the public should respond. He should be dealt with for sure, but this is her situation, and what she wants to happen should be what people support.
And you know what, though? Now that I think about it, I kind of agree, or not even kind of, I wholeheartedly agree with Rob. She shouldn't make a statement because we as human beings, we like to throw our opinions out there. So if, in the case, she decides to stand by him, society's going to look at her like, you're bugging. You get what you get if that happens. You know what I mean? So don't say shit. Don't say nothing.
Right. I mean, this is one of them situations. Unfortunately, it's all in the news and whatnot like that.
But she wouldn't be the first person. I mean, you think about, Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom. When that dude almost died, she was by his side, and people looking at her like she was crazy when everything went down with them. You got Chris Brown and Rihanna. I mean, like that whole dynamic. I mean, when you're with somebody for a number of years, or in a very emotionally charged situation, it's very difficult to just pick up and pack your bags and walk out of that situation. Some people, they can do it like that. I've seen this up close and personal where I've seen people get beat up. And what I do at work, people get beat up. People come to the store, black eyes. They come to work. All of this stuff that they go through, but yet and still, when you discuss their options with them, they choose to go back home. They choose to reinsert themselves in that situation. Sometimes they feel that if they leave, that person may go after them and kill them. So they feel like it's safer to be in a situation when you could get beat up, but maybe not killed, as opposed to you leave and you could get killed. Like it's a really weird dynamic, man. So I think it's real easy for us to kind of say from afar what she should and shouldn't do. And I would recommend it, but I don't know if it's as simple as that.
Right, because I could tell you, like, one of my earliest memories is seeing my mother get beat up by her boyfriend at the time, and that wasn't the first time it happened. And then one of the most immediate memories after that was her packing up me and my brother so we can go to a homeless shelter for women and kids. But I can imagine, as an adult, what did it mean for her to leave an apartment that she was situated in? Like, the boyfriend would come to our apartment. So what did it mean for her to give up that apartment? What does she have to go through mentally to put herself in a space to give up that apartment, give up that stability, to go to a homeless shelter? And then we had bounced around in shelters for at least 1.5 years, almost 2 years after that. So you really don't know what people have to weigh to get to that point. So I would just say support her regardless of what she go through, but at the same time, be adamant when looking at Chad Wheeler and being like, you ain't ish.
So, I mean, with all that said, is it possible for him to get back into the league, in your opinion? So let's say right now, Seahawks dropped him. He's out the league. He's doing what he's got to do.
He didn't get dropped. He did not get dropped.
Well, I'm saying I'm sure in time they're going to get to that, because I'm assuming, let's just say that he's been dropped by the Seahawks. He's out the NFL, blah, 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 hypothetically. he does a year of therapy. Maybe let's say she does forgive him, or they go on 60 Minutes. Everything is cool. Can he kind of come back into the good graces of people? I guess you could say he's done.
Nah, he should be done, yo. He should be done because I'm looking at it from a standpoint of fair and consistency. Like, what's the brother you said in Baltimore that went through that?
Ray Rice.
Ray
Rice
Rice
out.
went through it. He was done. What's the old dude that was oh man, he was out there. He beat the girl from Love and Hip Hop. They was married and he got done. Chad Johnson.
Word.
When Ocho Cinco did that with his girlfriend and he was on Ayana Fix My Life and all that, he was done. Wow. His whole football career was done. So
damn.
Yeah, but he was at the tail end of his career. It was there are people in the NFL has more people that they will reintegrate into their league who have been facilitators of domestic violence than not, right? So there are some exceptions clearly, but that's a great question. I don't know if he should be accepted or not. I think that's up to her.
But as a matter of fact,
the way he would be accepted is how she leads him into the conversation. Like Ray Rice's wife has made it almost acceptable for people to receive Ray Rice into public eye. They've receded. However, when they go out together, she's holding his hand, she's standing by her man, she's doing all the things publicly. I don't know if privately, but everything publicly she's showing everybody is he's solid now. He fucked up big time. He know he messed up. It was a different situation going on, but this is a different dude right now. If she did that, would people accept him? He's a white dude. Of course they would.
But on two things too, to follow up what you're saying too, Keltric, and Ish just commented, they treated, I'm sorry, my bad, dog. They did Mike Vick dirty. You know what I'm saying? And
Mike Vick beat up a woman.
A dog? Come on, cuz a dog and a woman is two different things to me.
Hey,
but I see how America is about their pets. And what's about Big Boy, who's accused of beating up his girlfriends? Ben Roethlisberger, he had so many cases against him, and he's still in the league. It's all love.
You missing. I think you may have some alternative facts. Mike Vick was a part of dog fighting. The example I think that's a good example of the hypocrisy of America for sure.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
But even with Ben Roethlisberger, like Ben Roethlisberger was accused of raping like women.
Exactly.
He never was prosecuted in Georgia. In Georgia though, and in Georgia, Ben Roethlisberger, white dude, it was in the sticks. It's kind of swept under the rug. But that's the way it repeats itself plenty of times for plenty of people, whether it be black, white, or Hispanic or whatever.
Well, yeah. I think ultimately if he does what he's supposed to do if he's a good enough football player, they will figure out a way to get him back into the league. But we all offer football in the NFL anyway because of the police brutality things from 2 years ago. Kaepernick, yeah. So
now, Rob,
that was just all hypothetical.
Rob still watch.
Yeah. Been watching NFL.
There you go. Shaming yourself.
No comment. But and that kind of like brings up, I guess, another kind of thing, man. I see this a lot. I've been in Facebook jail for the last couple weeks.
Why?
So I've had to be. Why am I in Facebook jail?
Yeah.
The way that they do it is like it's progressively more and more and more time. So if you say something or do something that is, against the rules or whatever, then you get put in Facebook jail. So now I had like a day, and then I had like a week, and now I'm up to a month. And then after this, I'm gonna get like, I don't know, I might just be banned permanently. Who knows? But my point is, I've had to kind of read things that people are saying, and I feel like there's a lot of animosity.
Oh, so you still have visibility, you just can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, he can
like a strip club.
I don't quite. I didn't make that connection, but
I'm just saying. To me, is I hate strip clubs, right? So it doesn't make sense to me. You go in there, you see all this stuff, and you just give them your money. It just don't make sense. You a voyeur at this point.
Basically, yes, yeah, but never mind. Okay, so all that to say, men and women, and it's a lot of animosity and whatnot like that. And I was just like, we spend a lot of time on this show talking about women and what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and yakety schmackety. So I figure it's only fair for us to discuss like men and what we are or are not doing correctly, because according to the women on social media, we are trash, just downright worthless and pitiful. And so I kind of want to know, do y'all feel like this is accurate? This is legitimate? And if so, what we need to do to just be better individuals. You know what I'm
What
saying?
social media posts you be seeing though, John?
I mean,
You
Twitter.
made a statement that said not us four, but that men are trash. I don't
Yes,
see that. I don't see that a lot from women.
really.
Bashing men saying they're
But
trash.
you're not really on social media that much. So that's it. You're gonna have to take my word for it. These are discussions that I had literally all damn day
Yeah.
on Facebook, Twitter,
Look at what Rose
you
said.
name it. Exactly.
I mean,
This
I don't
is
know.
Rose.
I don't even know
Rose,
who
you can
Rose
change his name
is.
to this. Rose is in the groups on Facebook. This all happens in Facebook groups. So to me, I mean, this is a discussion that is had a lot on social media. This is not the kind of thing that you would have in person. You're not going to have these
Is this a black
conversations.
woman, black man dynamic, or is this like all women say this about all men?
I have no idea what any other ethnicity is talking about, and never will care if I ever am talking about people. I am talking about black people on this show. So yes, we talking about black people, black men and women. I don't know what Polynesians be doing. So that said, is there a way for us to be like, better, or do you think we good as is, and the women are tripping?
It might be the men. It might be it might be the men those women are picking.
So it's
Look
the
at this.
women's fault. There you
No,
go.
no,
I
no,
like
no,
that.
no, no. Whoa, 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 my friend. We're not doing that today, buddy.
Wait a minute, what'd
Nah,
you say? Wait a minute, what'd you say? Because
I
did
said,
I misunderstand?
I said we are not doing it. That no, my statement was it might be the men those women are picking. You tried to put it off as me saying, "Oh, it's the women's fault altogether." Nah, I ain't doing that, buddy.
No, I'm okay. You said that it's the men that the women are picking. That's the problem,
Right.
right?
Don't say a universal that all men are trash. It might be
So
the men
it's the
that
men
you're picking. You might
that
have
the women are picking.
you might have a certain mold. You might be stuck in a certain criteria. That's all.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I would say
I've been told all men are trash.
I
By the way.
begrudgingly
So
will.
I'm just saying.
I mean, selfishly, I'm gonna say no. It's not an all men. I don't think that's an accurate assessment. However,
Just telling you.
begrudgingly, I think about the situation in New York where the woman was assaulted,
There you
beat
go,
up
Rose.
by a group of dudes who she rejected their advances, so they jumped her and beat her up. They're cowards, right? I would imagine that. I think about a woman I used to date. Some dude tried to make an advance towards her, and she rejected it, and they spit on her, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you remember that, John? And I wasn't clearly. I don't even know these people. I didn't find out about it until I got home. But I was infuriated with behind some shit like that. And so when you think about, and that was 20 plus years ago, right? So think about what I believe women experience based on what when I ask them follow questions, because I do take what you say and ask people that I know. It doesn't apply to everybody, but I believe there's probably some validity, a high degree of validity to things that you're talking about, that men really do some childish, some some really crucial, crazy stuff. What can be done about it, I think, is just a level of accountability that we have yet to express to one another. If the dudes that was around that dude who beat up the woman in New York because she was like, no, they should have whooped that dude's ass. Like, man, what you doing? Like, why? She said no, leave it alone.
He needs the
Um,
dog shit whipped about his ass, dog.
I mean,
That
I'm pretty sure some people may pull them up, but in terms of checking men when men do some BS, those things probably happen few far in between. If it does happen, maybe it happen behind closed doors and not publicly.
Thank you, V.
People
Yeah.
do things publicly and know that they might not get the same kind of reaction, or even chin check, in public that they might get in private. So we got some work to do, man.
And you know what? I see a lot of comments in there. I'm just flashing back to when I was a teenager. We've seen it sometimes too. I've never understood that shit. Like a dude will try to holler at a female, come up all cavalier. Excuse me, miss, can I talk to you? You're beautiful. And she'll politely say, no, thank you. Or I'm not interested. And I don't know rude shit or nothing like that. Then all of a sudden it's fuck you, bitch, you ugly anyway. I'm like, yo, 3 seconds ago you was trying to talk to her. But now just because she told you no, or she politely said I'm good, thank you. Now you calling out a name? That's crazy to me. I never understood that shit. But that's been going on almost damn near forever.
Sad but true. I mean, and a lot of people are saying in the comments that men need to step up and mentor and talk to other men. Unfortunately, there's really no forums for us to do these types of things anymore. You know what I'm saying? Other than the men that you know, like your sons and nephews and little cousins and womp like that, where you gonna just suddenly find a whole bunch of dudes to go talk to?
I
It
mean,
just
it
simply don't
depends.
work like that.
I
I mean,
think it
there's
depends on
mentoring groups out there, you know what I'm
right,
saying?
right. Because I
And
used to do that in my high school. Me and a couple of dudes, kind of like the four of us, would pull up like 30 youngins. But one, they have to be receptive of it. They have to want to listen and hear what you got to say. You know what I mean? Because you could counsel or mentor 30 dudes for 2 hours, everything be great, but as soon as they leave out the door, they back to their street shit again. So you know what I mean? It has to be on them to want to change.
It's too late though in high school, in my opinion. They say the real influential years is middle school and that later part of elementary school. Like if you don't get them by then, you're kind of already going to be set in your ways. I mean, you could venture back or pull back if you kind of got some little stuff on you, but you really need to get to young men, mentoring them in middle school. There are also retreats, in churches that people do, men's retreats, but a lot of the churches, not the population and people that attend the church is dwindling. Most women go to church. Men are like, man, forget that stuff. So I
But
don't
you
know
know
if
what?
mentor is it. I mean, you got to. Men need their ass whooped. I mean, that's what men respond to violence.
But you know what I say to that, Keltric, too, though, for real. And
wait a
I
minute.
see somebody just said initiate the conversation, but we can mentor and do all that great stuff, but we can't walk in the shoe. We can't walk in the footsteps of these youngins. So as soon as they go back to whatever their environment is, they might forget everything we live because they got another code of needing how to survive. So it's like you could teach them everything and instill everything in them, but what are their other hours of their life like? You know what I mean? If you ain't got no place to sleep, you
That ain't
can't
no
eat.
excuse. There's no excuse to violate a woman.
That sounds
Clearly,
good to us now. That sounds good and legit now. But I'm saying to some,
Rasheem just told you that he lived in a shelter for a year,
Almost two.
almost 2 years. The man
okay,
ain't ever told you that he violated a woman and beat her up.
and that's his character and his moral fiber. But I'm sure maybe in that same breath, he probably knows some people that do. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking away from it, but just because
No,
Rob
what I'm
groomed himself that way, don't mean that. You know what I mean?
Can I get up in here real quick?
no.
I'm going to get up in anyway. Listen, I think it's good what the road we on in terms of accountability, holding each other to our feet to the fire. I think that works, but I don't think that's all that this discussion is about. A lot of men are victims of the society we live in, and even though we are black men who are oppressed at the same time, and I've said this before, we still play the role of the oppressor. We are in a community, we in a society that makes the value of men greater than the value of women, and we get indoctrinated with that as well. We get brainwashed with that as well, even though we just black men on that rung. Um, I say that to say, anytime we come in contact with people who challenge what we feel is our superiority over them, women, we act stupid. So it's more than just John Rose says smash the patriarchy. John, that's what I'm talking about. We are beneficiaries of a patriarchal society, and we got to challenge patriarchy just as much as we challenge holding ourselves accountable, because we could be accountable to each other is all we want, but we're gonna be just like the white liberals who are out there crying that they down for the cause, but at the same time they benefiting from the racism that we see in the community. So I think there's a bunch of things that we need to look at when we discuss this, and I think that's one of them.
What you about to say, John? You about to say something?
I mean, I was about to say that I think that the patriarchy is traditional behavior, and that traditional behavior is upheld by all members of a community. And if people want to dismantle the patriarchy, there's plenty of things that people can absolutely do. I am trying
But
to
we not talking about people.
remantle John's economy, and that's
Wait,
kind
wait,
of
hold on a
my
second, John.
perspective.
John, forget. We're not talking about what people. We talk what people can do. What can we as men do?
Men do.
To make sure that we are not buying into or perpetuating a system that puts its knee on the neck of women,
Black women specifically.
Black women specifically.
What I believe is in my best interest to do, and in the Black woman that I'm attempting to raise to do, is to equip her the best way that I know how with the tools and the resources that she will need to survive a very cold and brutal world. So that's kind of what I am doing to, uplift and all of the above. I think that this world, this culture that we live in, chews people up and spits them out, both men and women. And if we are trying to dismantle that, I think that people really just needs to, examine really what they mean by that and how deep they want to go with it. Because I don't believe that people really, really, really want to dismantle the patriarchy, quote unquote. They simply want to kind of keep the status quo. Because if you was really about the things that you wanted to be about, there's plenty of stuff that we could be doing, but we're not going to do those types of things because it would be like dismantling the whole culture and society.
Hey, listen, John got a point. I don't think the masses of men want to dismantle the patriarchy system. They just won't do that. Most people of power won't relinquish power. I had a discussion with some friends of mine. It sounds going to sound weird, but maybe it won't.
Yes, it will.
Probably so. But they were talking about the number of Black men that were supporters of 45, right? And part of that is because he didn't want to break the system down. Like it's men first, money first. And for a number of years, Black men were kind of on this, and still probably to this day, if you making money, you can be accepted. If you are of this certain echelon or caliber of individual as a Black man, you could be integrated or accepted into, the white man's world, as Tupac would say. So I think it would be very, very difficult to dismantle a system that men, white men, Black men, Asian men, all men benefit from. I think it'll be hard to do, man.
Can I give an example real quick? Maybe
not
this,
give Rose the mic.
Yeah, I'm not giving Rose a mic because she be popping off all night long. So maybe dismantle may not be the right word. Maybe the word is just don't participate in it.
There's no way that you cannot participate.
Can I give an example? So the newest craze now is Clubhouse, right? So I was on Clubhouse the other night listening, and y'all know I halfway don't even like it. So I'm in this room, and the question that popped off this room was whether or not women should be submissive to men who ain't their husband. And you had men on the panel like submissive, like, woman submit to your wives, to your husbands, da 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 da, the whole biblical thing, right? So you had men up in the room, on the stage, running the room, telling the women that in order to be a good submissive wife, you have to practice that submissiveness while you in a relationship with your man, your boyfriend. So in essence, you should submit to your boyfriends, your men, those men you're in relationships with, in the process of being, learning how to be a good wife. Because how can you learn how to do it once you get married if you haven't practiced it? So when I say don't participate in it, don't be a dumb man, a stupid man telling a bunch of women they need to submit to men because you want to have a bunch of submissive women around you. That's participating in it. Don't say stupid stuff like that. Don't expect stupid stuff like that. If you expecting dumb stuff like that, then you are participating in the patriarchy. So I'm saying let white folk think that if that's what they think. Let other people think that if that's what they think. But don't you go think that, and don't you go promote that.
I mean, interesting. This is
young men that, correct?
They're telling all women. There was nothing but women
in
this group. They were telling women. It was a few men, and it was a few hundred women listening to these men, and they were saying, y'all need to be submissive to men, even though they're not your husband. Now, when I got on the stage and I told them that they sounded stupid, they booted me off the stage and kicked me out.
Damn,
because that was just dumb.
I mean, rightfully so. They should have kicked you out because you're not speaking what they want to hear. Here's the deal, in my opinion, from my point of view. I don't think I think our role in this process, if it's going to be, what can we do to fix it, is to educate, have these conversations, talk about it at least, and ask
I'm
women
sorry
how
to
we.
interrupt. 20 set time out. Rita, it is that dude that be doing to ask a black man anything, and he's crazy. LOL. I'm sorry, Cage. Go ahead.
Did you really say LOL?
That's what Rita typed. LOL.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Cage.
I lost my thought.
No, you didn't. Stop being like that. Stop,
No, he did.
stop
He
being
did.
like that.
I literally did lose my thought.
I ain't know you was built so weak like that. I
I
apologize.
mean,
It's not about that. I forgot. Listen, I'm sipping on tequila. You talking about what Rita said? You could have said that shit later.
No, I wanted to
Facts.
before I lost it.
You could have. You controlling the people that come up on the screen. You could go back and highlight it.
It's hard controlling them. And
See,
paying
this is
attention to us
the
at the same time.
patriarchy shit. You need to
There's the
dismantle right
patriarchy
here.
right here.
No,
Word up,
I can do this to the fellas.
No,
Because
you
Rod
just.
tried to break Keltric down, talking about I didn't know you was built so weak.
You know
like
what I'm saying?
Fucked up,
You
man.
know what I'm saying?
That is true.
Like, how you trying to play me like that? Because you trying to get your rocks off right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, it is what it is sometimes.
See, this is we're about to cannibalize each other right now. We're about to go in on each other.
I mean,
Well,
there's
let's-
one.
No, go ahead, John. My bad.
So I was basically just about to say, this is why it is so difficult to mentor young men, because tone, what you say, how you say it, things can be misconstrued. And especially when you're young and you feel like you know everything, you as somebody that's like outside of your family, it's hard enough if they inside the family. But like,
People don't understand the people outside of your family.
well, like for example, I live in a predominantly Latino area.
You've never been mentored, John, by someone outside of your family?
I am going to have to say no. Well, I mean, I don't believe so. I'm not in a formal sense. I have definitely watched people to see how they move and see how they do certain things and kind of either patterned what I'm doing after them, but it wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna take you under my wing. I'm gonna really help you out and womp.
I got a question for you. What men do you admire? Like, what men would you say you role model yourself after?
Yo, I am never talking about my personal life for real, because I'm tired of people like
Rose.
hearing something I said on here and then being, I'm not doing that. So
I'm not asking anything. I'm just saying, who do you feel like? What men do you?
let me finish my point that I had real quick.
Before you forget.
There you go, John. Stand your ground, John. Stand your ground, John. Right.
So I live like in a predominantly Latino area. These young kids say nigga a lot. Okay. All of them. And they are not phenotypically black as far as I'm concerned. I have on numerous occasions told like the 10 and 12-year-olds that's on the basketball court, yo, why are y'all saying this word? And they will chill, but as they get older, they don't give a damn what I got to say. You know what I'm saying? Because who am I? Because I'm 16 and I know everything. And y'all was 16 once. All I'm saying is a lot of people were saying, yo, just mentor, just have the conversations, just do this, just do that. It's very difficult to have those types of potentially difficult conversations with young people. Sometimes it's not that easy.
Hey man, if that is your example, that the kids are playing basketball and you say stop saying the N-word, and that's a weak example.
I didn't say stop saying it. I said, why are you saying it? Because you ain't black. That's the kind of conversations I was having. But nonetheless, go ahead.
That's still a weak example, in my opinion. Like
It's not.
It's absolutely a weak example. That's not
How so?
mentoring anybody. How are you mentoring? And that's not.
Here's your behavior that you're.
Hold up.
Here's how you wrong.
And-
Here's how I'm
and-
stepping in and
That's
saying
not
why
mentoring.
you're wrong.
That's not mentoring.
And what we're talking about are black kids.
This is true.
You're talking to Hispanic kids, and what you're doing is not even
Africans.
okay. You're not mentoring. You're checking them. Like that's not the same thing. Okay,
Yeah,
respectfully or disrespectfully, it's not the same thing. Mentoring is not checking somebody. Mentoring is providing guidance, insights, helping mold somebody. You're not doing that in a one-stop shop situation.
And that's one of the reasons why I asked whether or not he has had the mentoring experience, because he just doesn't have a point of reference of what it means to be mentored by having that experience. Like mentorship is based off of a relationship you built with someone, so that if they do say, hey, young blood, maybe you should reconsider using that word, that the young blood then be like, maybe I should reconsider using that word because I have a relationship with that man and he wouldn't steer me wrong. So
I got one for you.
And once again, I think this discussion goes well beyond just mentoring. That is not going to fix what has been ingrained in us because of the society. That'll be a piece of what we need to do, but I'm still going to bring us back to the fact that that's the easy part. That's the easy part, mentoring.
The hard part gonna be the music.
You said is what?
The music is a gross contributor to the
Oh, the
mentality.
music.
Yes, that people listen to. It was a gross contributor to where people get some of the behavior and antics from. I remember very distinctly, like when I was young, hip hop was a lot more socially conscious. And then with the advent of like Death Row, NWA, it went completely gangster and hood. And you very rarely will listen to some hip hop or some rap that in many ways somebody would say is meaningful. Self-Destruction was like a dope little song to me. I remember like as a kid, like self-destruction, headed for self-destruct. I mean, it was just a dope little song, right?
Yeah,
I remember that
fucking song.
I mean, like I said, it was a dope song to me. But then when you get to bitches ain't shit, you get to we don't love these hoes, you get to when I met you last night, baby, and everybody's sing the song. Like it's not like women be listening to these tracks and be like, man, that's so disrespectful. Man, I don't want to listen to that. Like they dance to the music too. But people are internalizing these messages right now. We old enough now to distinguish between a song from reality, but we would be crazy. We think like when we was in college or we was in high school, you didn't try some of that stuff sometimes. I mean, just be real.
Shoshana Little John talked about there's no magic bullet and everyone contributes to change, and she's absolutely right. And we can't just throw up our hands and be like, yo, this is something that's just too hard for us to do. So it's a bit of all of that. It's a bit at looking at popular culture, looking at music. It's about looking at how we mentor. It's about looking at the system of patriarchy, Nika.
No, I'm not. No,
looking at yourself.
Yeah, right. And holding the mirror up to you, but then there's still work we have to do in the community. And then when you put all those pieces together, then there has to be an intentional discussion about how we treat the women in our community. And that's something that when we have that discussion, we then make excuses. I remember I went to a conference. I went to a conference in Tennessee. I think it was Tennessee State.
I'm gonna jump in. I gotta jump in right quick because I'm gonna be built right.
Go ahead.
You said a great word, community. It's not about your family. It's about your community. I just wanted to make that distinction that you said the word community, and that's very important because it's not what you do in your own close personal circle. You got to expand that circle in some situations and instances.
I'm saying it's about both of those, like all of those. I don't think that there is it's not that. But so the point that I was trying to bring up is that when we get to talking about these things, I'm gonna go back to Dora's comment because it's pretty long and I want people to see it. When we get to talking about those things, what happens is we start to make excuses. So I'm at this conference at a HBCU in Tennessee, and they were talking about, what does it mean to be a man? And everyone up in there is like, there's no real manhood. You do what you do and you do it how you can do it. And if you slipping, you slipping. Granted, everyone needs a little grace. No one's going to get it perfect, but they was giving each other loopholes to be complete assholes and be like, I'm still responsible. I'm still a responsible man. And I'm like, nah, you can't intentionally be out there being an asshole to everyone who cross your path and think that that's cool. So I think there needs to be a dedicated, consistent conversation about the things we're going to hold each other accountable to in terms of how we interact with each other as a community and how we interact with our women specifically and how we protect our women specifically and statements we make about protecting our women specifically and what we're willing to do to protect our women specifically. And I think if we go that route with a bunch of other things, of course, we might be able to make some headway here. And the other thing, sisters, I see y'all in the comments going hard on that submission thing. I threw that out as an example. Maybe we will throw that as a topic of discussion in the upcoming weeks about
because we got one more little topic, and I don't know if we even gonna really be able to touch on this one. Y'all got to kind of
all right. Let's go.
We got an hour already, but I
mean, that's when I started it. I mean,
we ain't got an hour.
Come on now.
Right, you're right. Okay, so one more thing that's been kind of making the rounds, and I got thrown this later on this evening. I'm very glad about this. meme or a post on Facebook that I saw that was from a woman that was saying she wanted to talk to her dark-skinned daughter about the difficulties that she was going to face in the dating world, in the marriage market as she got older, because this is a woman talking to her daughter. She says that the people are going to hold your color against you. People are going to treat you differently because you are darker skinned. And so she wanted to get her daughter, you know, in the mindset of that's okay. That person might not like me. There's somebody else for me, and not get hung up on that rejection or whatever the case is. All four of us have daughters. Do you feel like this is something that you should discuss with your daughter? Is it real? Is it, you know, accurate? I don't even know what to say, an accurate dialogue or point, or is it just something, you know, that's specific to that one family or what?
Listen, I don't even know. Your synopsis was interesting. However,
I sent it. Yeah. Okay.
I
Go
know. Yeah, but it was too long. You sent it like 2 minutes before we started. I would say this. I don't.
Stop throwing him under the bus, Keltric.
I read it.
Word
Go
up.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Support your brother, man. Stop
I love
backing
him.
your brother.
I love him.
That's right.
He know I love him. We didn't been through the fire and back, and then some.
Okay, there you go.
What I would say about that post, and I could be totally wrong. I might get eviscerated for this. I don't believe that. I didn't get the impression that the father of the daughter was around. If the father of the daughter was around, I don't know if that post is necessary.
Let me read this real quick.
No. What I'm saying
what?
is, I think when men are involved in their daughters' lives, you don't need to have the discussion that she's trying to have. They're going to learn how a man is supposed to treat you from the way your dad treats you and talk to you and give you the game. Your dad should give you the game.
Okay.
And if your dad don't give you the game, then the mom is going to do what she is saying that she wants to do to kind of help protect her daughter and her feelings. And I get it, right? That's she wants to nurture her daughter so she doesn't waste her time. But
I'm gonna put a link to this in some kind of fashion so you all can see exactly what I'm talking about. I wanted to read it real quick. I'm not even gonna read the whole
You can
thing.
put it in the Facebook comments.
There you go. I'll put it in the
Copy
Facebook.
it, yeah.
So I'm gonna read just a little bit of it. She says, parents of Black, dark-skinned 4C daughters need to talk about colorism / texturism in dating preference. I've begun this conversation with my daughter so that she is more prepared. She will be going off to college in 3 years, and she will be prepared to snatch y'all's colorist little son soul. I don't know what that means. Tell your daughter that there are men, including men who look like her, who will use her for sex and emotional labor, but do not find her marriageable or dateable. So these are the kind of things that she's talking about, trying to get her daughter prepared for going off to college and, you know, all of the above. And I didn't really see that it was, I would never downplay individuals' history. So I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, that dark women or women, 4C has to do with your hair texture. I don't know who the hell came up with that designation, but that's what that means. Keltric, Neil, whatever. So whatever your hair issue is, whatever your skin tone is, there's going to be people that don't like you. Okay. I think this is just my opinion. Women are not acculturated to accept rejection. When they are rejected, it really bothers women very, very deeply. And I think that they tend to linger on that rejection much more so than men do, or most men do. And what I mean by that is somebody might have told a woman, hey, you too dark for me, your hair too nappy for me, you're short, or whatever the reason was. And she's held on to that and has remembered it, and it hurt her feelings, and that's for life, and that's it. But the other 10 dudes that loved her skin tone and loved her short hair are like, okay, yeah, whatever. But this one dude from 8th grade told me that he really didn't like me. So I'm mad about that. Whereas men, if you was Black, back in the day, that it wasn't all that popular. If you had, you know, a short, ugly hairstyle, it wasn't that. I'm not saying it's not real, Rose. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying that women are more not capable of handling rejection, okay? Because not everybody's going to like you. That's just the way it is. Maybe it's because you're too dark. Maybe it's because your hair is too short. Whatever the case is, he don't like you. So there's others that will. Focus on them. It's just my opinion.
So when you're an outlier, no matter what, you're gonna get something. if you look too good, people gonna think you a snob or you a bitch because you too fine, and they're gonna hate on you. If you ugly or perceive to be ugly, people gonna dog you and crack jokes on you. If you in the middle, then you gonna catch some jokes, but it won't be as much as the people who are really really pretty or the people that people perceive really really ugly. It's just it's the outlier syndrome. Like I don't. So
There's, oh, go ahead, Keltric. My bad.
there is some validity to darker skinned women having a more difficult time. I remember growing up, people would be like the African booty scratcher. That was the dumbest joke ever. But people would say that if somebody was really, really dark skinned. I assume that may still exist. I mean, because the jokes that they tell now are the same jokes we probably told when we was little kids.
These kids is woke as hell. They would not talk about that kind of thing. That would be really, really uncool for these kids today.
And that's good to hear, right? So when you think about adversity you're going to face, all of us have had some adversity. I mean, I grew up people joking about my big nose. I mean, I had to. It took some jokes, and you had to be like, okay, I got to crack some jokes back too. Like you got to be able to just deal with the adversity and the travails of life, and figure out how to navigate that. How your ego can be, it won't be bruised beyond that, right? So when you, it's not like this woman who wrote this. She's hurt.
Word.
She's
Yeah.
had some experiences that she's projecting on her daughter, who her daughter may not even have anything remotely like this.
Thank
And
you, dog.
she could be scarring her, in my opinion. But
And that's exactly what I thought. I'm sitting here saying to myself, like, your daughter could be probably positive and beautiful and have no idea what the fuck you talking about, but you just living your past up on her, and she looking at you like, ain't nobody ever told me I was ugly. Shit, I got dudes trying to holler at me type shit. What, you know what I mean? So sometimes I think parents do that. They put their fear or how their college life was or what shit happened to them. Oh, you're gonna go to college, so this is gonna happen to you too. Like, man, no. But I mean, everything that we're talking about is real. I guess
comment there.
I've never had a color talk to my daughters. I've never had a, oh, don't put your hair in locks because society. I'm like, nah, like you said, Keltric, to your point, you know how I do with my daughters. I tell them they're beautiful. I give them all positive affirmations. And I guess to your point, to some degree, or maybe to a large degree, that builds their self-esteem. So if they hear anything else other than what I was telling them or what y'all have told them, they'll be like, no, that's not true and don't worry about it. But it still trips my mind to really think that there are beautiful dark skin or whatever you want to do young girls out here that's really tripping off that. Like, I don't know. That's crazy to me. I think the mother's just putting her fear on her or some torturous shit that happened to her on her daughter, and that's not fair.
I think it a lot of it might have something to do to we're in a different time. I know when we were younger, there was a lot of colorist stuff going on that we probably didn't see as colorists because we were young. I mean, to the point where even grandparents was looking at grandbabies like, oh, he or she is too dark. And that may still happen now. But in this day and age, I think there is more support for darker skin beauty, coarser hair beauty, locks, curls, black girl magic. Like there's more support for all of that now, to the point where I don't know if y'all was peeping it this week or last week. It's some little Puerto Rican chick. I don't know if she's Puerto Rican or Dominican. She might be Dominican. She's a singer named Danny Lee.
Yeah.
And she's dating, I don't know who she's dating.
Baby. Oh, okay, when she did that song.
And she put out that song talking about,
get yourself a yellow girl.
Yeah, a yellow bone. A yellow bone. And yellow bone, versus dark skin, yellow bone, light skin, but light skin black girl. And people are sitting back and they blasted her.
Bad. But did you see her thing though? I mean, I don't know if it's valid, but I think the perspective that she was coming from, she was just like, I consider myself a light-skinned yellow bone.
See,
so she was just making a song saying, get yourself a girl.
Here's my problem. When they say yellow bone, they're not talking about someone from a white looking Latina. They're not, when they say yellow bone. And that's what she is. She's a white looking Latino. So you can't tell me I consider myself a yellow bone. I don't care what you consider yourself. You're not a yellow bone. See, that's one of those comments that people be like, there's three sides. There's three sides to the truth, yours, mine, and the truth. No, there's only the truth. Black folk who were considered light skinned were considered yellow bone. You ain't a black person. So no, I don't care what you consider. You ain't black. So you running around here. So that's one issue. The other issue is you're using a colorist term that was used to separate us and divide us. And you doing it like, it just is what it is. Like Jennifer said, her apology was whack. It was straight whack. So no.
I don't even know what's going on with that, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yellow bone, red bone, but if you call somebody a black bone, it would probably be a problem.
Neck bone, collarbone, whatever. Keep going.
Well, I mean, you know, this whole little article right here threw me for a loop because I agree with y'all. I would never tell my daughter, there's men that's not going to like you, but I maybe should, because there are going to be men that do not like her for a variety of reasons. As somebody said in the comments, any reason or none, they might not like you. That's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
But Cage is Cage. I want you to be careful projecting the type of person you are, the type of man you are on average dudes. Like not everyone, as someone mentioned that in the comments, not everyone, not all men are going to treat their daughters the way you treat your daughter. So there are men out there who won't treat them to the point where they recognize their beauty before walking out the door, so that no one can challenge them on that. And if they are challenged, they could be like, shut up, I'm gorgeous, mind your business, go that way. So
but then let me ask a question, because we are all fathers of daughters right here, and I just saw a post. I want to see if y'all would agree with it. I think a person just said sometimes fathers can put so much esteem into their daughters that when the daughters go out, their heads might be up here. Do you think that's true, or do you think that's just dads giving positive praise and telling the daughters, "You're amazing, you're beautiful"? Whatever.
Was it a woman or a man who put that out there?
A woman just now.
So you're saying that the woman go out there, the girl go out there, and she ends up at the term we've used, outkick their coverage?
I mean,
I don't want to say outkick their coverage, but your dad just bigged you up, thinking you're the most beautiful woman in the world, because in daddy's eyes you are. But then when you go out into the real world, you really think
this.
Is there a dangerous slope to that?
I have seen some not typically attractive people in the world setting it on fire because they had the right esteem and they had the right confidence, and what they look like didn't matter. You couldn't tell them nothing.
Facts.
I just wanted to point out this is kind of playing into the patriarchy, because we are discussing women and their attractiveness and how the world will treat them differently, and all this other good stuff.
No, we're not placing no value on it.
She did.
Yeah, I'm just merely saying
we're commenting on that,
gentlemen.
Yeah, we're commenting.
We are commenting. All of us, this is all part of it. We are in the patriarchy right now.
This is not part of the patriarchy, John.
We are part of the patriarchy.
We are out
part
there.
of the patriarchy.
We are part of the patriarchy.
We are part of the patriarchy, but we are not out here saying that the mama is absolutely correct. Little girl, you dark skinned and they're gonna treat you funny, and or better yet, we're not saying that little dark skinned girl, you are funny looking. We're not saying that. So I don't know what you mean.
Funny looking. I mean,
what
if your daughter was funny looking?
I'll lean back on what I just said. I've seen people who are not stereotypically or typically attractive go out and set the world on fire because they had the right personality, they had the right attitude, and they didn't care. No one. Sorry.
Some black mamas, old school, like, you got to think about the generation. I think you spoke about this a little earlier, Rasheem, the generations and how people grew up.
I like that, Rose.
An old school mother will tell their daughter all their faults to help protect them. Hey, you got to make sure you're this size. Make sure your hair looks like this. Make sure your nails look like this. So I don't know if that was because of their experiences and providing and instilling into their kids, their daughters, like things that they think will help, put them in the best position that they can in this world. In our generation, we have the ability and the opportunity to do something very different. Whether we choose to accept that and instill that in our kids or not, it's truly up to us. But they don't have to have the same experiences that we did or our spouses did when they was growing up. So, it's an interesting concept. I don't fault the mom. I do think she's projecting, but I get where it's coming from. It's trying to protect her kid, to make sure that she is she's not heartbroken because my son was sick this week. He's 4 months, turned 4 months this week. Looking at this little dude sick, it broke my heart. My daughter was sick. She can tell me that she doesn't feel well. That stuff breaks my heart. So you just can imagine, your kid, getting heartbroken by somebody, and you're like, man, you want to protect them from everything. You can't, but you do the best that you can to kind of protect them from as much as possible.
Yeah. But we got to be careful what we do in the name of protection, because oftentimes we find ourselves giving our children complexes, and because they are still children, they're sponges, and they will soak up our insecurities. And now we send them out in the world, and they scared of everything because we made them scaredy cats. Like they're it's like they're clay, and we're molding them. So we have to be careful how we mold them.
Facts.
Well, I mean, there you have it. Touched on a whole lot of different little things here. I mean, y'all got some final words for the people. It's going on an hour and 20. We feel like we've touched on it all. We talked about Deshaun Watson.
Oh man, said they got a lot of bathroom models out there. That's IG for you.
Shout out to the Silhouette Challenge. Busset Challenge.
There's a new challenge out. Okay.
There's a new challenge. The Silhouette Challenge.
Oh, gosh.
Google that. Yeah, but okay. So the moral of the story is pump your daughters up, tear down the patriarchy, and
that's Rasheem saying that too.
Get money. That's what it sounds like is the
2 weeks? The second. Listen, y'all, we do every Thursday, with the exception of the second week of the month. That second week we do Wednesdays. We're gonna try to keep everyone up in terms of, with the posting, so when, but the second week of the month we doing Wednesdays. So that second Wednesday of February, we're gonna have our favorite guest back, Mimi Brown from Fox, I think 11 LA, producer on air, personality. So we bring, Mimi's gonna grace us again. So y'all come on through and have some questions and stuff for her, because we're gonna get back into it. Maybe that's the week we talk about submission.
I was just about to say that.
Maybe that's the week we talk about submission.
Right.
Should a woman submit to her man?
Well, she gonna be speaking on behalf of all women. Like we speaking on behalf of all men. It just ain't even fair.
She's just going to add her own perspective.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But people be acting like we speak.
It is kind of funny like that.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, people will respond to me.
We did.
And be like, how dare you say XYZ? And I'll be like, it's just my damn opinion.
Yeah.
Take it out of my bros.
Hey, check this out. I heard Rod talk about a couple of sayings. So the finger on the button was a good saying.
What?
You said something earlier. I'll kick your coverage is a saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Finger on the button is a saying.
Yeah.
There was another one you said before that was funny. Oh my God. I can't remember. I gotta think about it. It's from an earlier episode.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that, Brandon.
Right.
Well, there you go. So once again, Straight No Chaser, the podcast. We appreciate y'all listening.
Hey, everybody that's drinking, put a little cheers up and a little thumbs up in the comments.
Next week, have y'all drinks with y'all. If you got a drink, put a thumb up, put a emoji.
Next week, we all gonna drink. Next week, we all gonna drink like actual alcohol. Neil, you and me. You're not doing it. Neil is like a little Mr. Olympia now, so I'm gonna drink Neil's. So all right, so that's it. Y'all got a final word? What's the deal?
For me, I would say pray for all teachers going back. DC teachers going back next Monday. So I'm going back in the belly of the beast in the classroom. Pray
no, y'all not. We getting snow on Sunday. Y'all first day back is gonna be a snow day. Watch.
Well, I take it. I take that.
Y'all late, man.
Y'all been going. Oh, that's right. Y'all been going back to school. Weird.
Texas wide open.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wide open.
Well, yes, definitely praying for the teachers, man. And I'm also praying for the kids because I want them to go back.
I want to do a couple of salutes. Salute to Dora. I saw Jen had a couple little jokes in there too. Rose. I saw Ish. I got it right. And then Rita for sure. Just everybody that's listening, my man Brandon. Thank you guys for jumping in with us.
In the world. Too. Queen be out there.
Welcome.
Shoshana, all you new folk.
Right.
And the young lady who we talked about her profile picture, she still ain't changed that joint. So thank you for coming back again too.
Oh yeah.
And I can't forget a special shout out to my sister Nika. Love you. I'll holler at you.
Oh, family.
All right, we out.
All right.
All right, y'all.
That's it.
Peace, y'all.
Next week. Like,
Yes.
share, subscribe. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're gonna be back next week.
Cherie, I forget about you, Cherie.
Yep. YouTube.
Oh, Jen too. Word up,
And
Jen.
yes, I
Amazon.
did pay my Trump bets. Whoever just asked that.
Yes, he did. All right, y'all. Let's get up
All
out
right,
of here.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.
Don't put that out there no more. But I got you. Yeah.
There you go.
And on that note, we're gonna say peace out, God bless, and good night.
Straight, no chaser.